I'm Nehf, thoroughbred trainer in Southern California. There's been a lot of talk about the strategy Bob Baffert used in the Belmont Stakes. We're going to take a good look at it and see exactly what happened, and I'll explain to you why it's perfectly legal and legitimate to use the tactics that Bob Baffert used in the Belmont Stakes. Looking at the Trackus overhead view of the race, you can see Justify break really well and goes almost to the lead. At the same time, Bravazzo, the number 3 horse, swings over from the 3 hole up next to Justify, but can't quite keep up with him. And that's because Mike Smith used Justify's natural speed to position himself a little bit ahead of Bravazzo. Now, as Justify slowly pulls away from Bravazzo, we see the number 5 horse, Restoring Hope, ridden by French jockey Florent Geroux, who really does a masterful job in this race, and also trained by Bob Baffert. He swings over from the 5 hole, inches his way over towards Justify. He's using every bit of speed his horse has to get up close to Justify, and he's just about ready to swing over and close the hole on Bravazzo, and Bravazzo will not have an opportunity to get out of that hole he's in for the entire rest of the race. So effectively, Bravazzo is finished. He will not get out in time to make a run at Justify. Bravazzo's jockey, Luis Saez, made a mistake here, in my opinion, although he may not have had enough horse to just hang in there with Justify. But essentially, he just locked himself into that hole on the rail, and he was not going to get out. Florent Geroux and Restoring Hope did their job. They were able to keep the other horses away from Justify and let Justify set his own pace and not get into a duel with another horse and wear himself out early. This cooperation between 2 horses from the same stable is not illegal. There was no contact made with the other horse. There was no interference. The horse Restoring Hope had every opportunity to go on and win the race. It was not like Restoring Hope was held back. But here's the difference between the present state of thoroughbred racing and the past. Until recently, anytime a trainer or an owner had 2 horses in the same race, they were coupled into an entry. And that means that they both got the same number. There was 1 and 1A, and if there was another coupled entry in the race, it was 2 and 2B, and so on. And they were one betting interest. If you bet on one horse, you automatically bet on the other. If you bet on Justify, you would have also bet on Restoring Hope. So if either horse won, you would collect. But nowadays, the horses are split into separate entries. And that's because we just don't have enough horses to fill the races anymore. And if we coupled the entries, you'd end up with just a few betting interests in any given race. So you might have a 1 and 1A and 4 other horses, so you'd have a field of 6. But with the coupled entry, you would have only 5 betting interests. But by splitting them up into separate entities, you have 6. So Baffert's strategy of using Restoring Hope to block the way of other horses from coming up right next to him and challenging him for the lead and increasing the speed early in the race was perfectly legitimate. It was done regularly back in the day. So that strategy could change to having another horse set the pace for the primary horse in the entry. That was the most common way it was used, but they were used a lot of different ways. Now, there aren't many trainers out there who can afford to put another horse into a race like the Belmont Stakes and use him this way. And that's one of the advantages that Bob Baffert has. He said during the post-race Kentucky Derby interview that the reason people send horses to him is because he's got the setup to deal with these races specifically. And boy, he sure does. Now, here's the view in animation from the inside rail. And watch the three horses going to the lead from left to right. That's Restoring Hope. And in between horses is Bravazzo. And then on the right is Justify. You can see pretty clearly what's happening here, how Bravazzo is getting shuffled back. Restoring Hope swings over and just keeps him from getting up alongside of Justify. So, in my opinion, Bob Baffert, Mike Smith, Florent Giroux should be applauded for the great strategy they used in this race with a Triple Crown on the line. A lot of money changed hands for this race. So, I think they did the right thing. They did a great job. I think Justify would have won anyway. But there's been a lot of questions about this strategy. I hope I've shed a little light on it, and it'd be great to see Bob Baffert comment on this and say, Jay, you're completely off base here. But I don't think that's going to happen. So once again, thank you for watching. The comments have been absolutely fantastic. You guys are very astute, and I really enjoy hearing what you guys have to say. And as a horseman, it's enlightening to see what you handicappers are thinking. And I really appreciate your enthusiasm for the sport. So good luck at the races. Subscribe if you haven't, and take a look at some of our other videos about the horses in our barn that we're campaigning at Santa Anita and soon to be campaigning at Del Mar. I hope you'll enjoy those and find them enlightening also. So once again, thanks a lot.